throne, turn the chair to a throne. I'm a king and it's why I start hard. I put my whole city
You are now tuned into First Round by.
If I didn't start hard. And every night is a premiere. If I ever disappear, best believe I'm coming back. Start hard.
With your hosts, Justice General Radford, host of the Justice for All podcast. Jake Jordan, host of The Lowdown with Jake Jordan.
What's going on, Bills Mafia? Welcome to First Round by. It's your favorite Friday night show under the Friday Night Lights with your favorite Friday night guys. That was not how it usually goes, but it sounded pretty decent.
Yeah, we're gonna end the show right now.
You hate it. That's hate. That's hate. But it's all right. It's okay. It's okay. My man Jake Jordan is in the building. What's going on, bro? How you feeling tonight now?
Feeling pretty good. Football is back. Technically, I mean, like I know if you want to count, football never really left except for maybe a couple of weeks, and then the USFL came in. But I mean, come on, let's be real about that. Like it's
different.
Football's back, man. There's this energy that's just kind of like it's starting to come back. Everybody's talking about the Sunday plans now. What are we gonna do? Like people. It's starting to feel like it's back, and like for some reason I don't know, like the off season always feels like it used to feel like so strapped for content, like we don't know what to talk about, but like I actually kind of enjoy that because that's kind of like the time where you separate the people that are just really creative content creators to those that just like to talk about football. So like the fact that in the off season when we've done verses and stuff like that, like it's just like it's great to finally be back to football, and like now it's just like I can't wait to see what we do with this, man. It's awesome. Oh man,
absolutely. And what's cool about the preseason now is like we don't have some rookie quarterback who we're expecting to see what he's got, what stuff he's got, or some new quarterback that just joined the team that, is mediocre, but we're just clinging on the hope that this guy is going to, become a great quarterback. Yeah, exactly.
Change.
We actually have a bona fide superstar. I'm going to be quite honest with you. I don't need to see at all in this preseason. I don't need to see none of the starting offense in this preseason. Maybe the offensive line gets some burn. I was like, I don't need to see none of it. Maybe I don't need to see none.
No, I say we forfeit every single preseason game.
I would be completely fine with that. Completely fine with that.
We just show up and we refuse to play. Like that's
absolutely. And quick shout out to Buffalo FAMbase. Twitter page just hit 150K followers. So thank you guys for all the love and support as always. I mean, I ain't going to say that the brand has gained a lot more followers since we got the podcast network going or anything like that. I'm not going to say it. I might be thinking it, but I'm not going to say it.
Right? But y'all see.
Y'all see it. You see it. No, but thank you so much, guys, for the love and support. Seriously, like we really do appreciate it. And continue to love and support us by slapping that like button. And without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into some football today. Obviously, tomorrow we have the Bills versus the Colts, right? We're going to take a step back because, there's been a few weeks where we haven't recorded, and then we were doing the verses. We haven't really gotten a chance to talk like really deeply into training camp, right?
Sure.
So we're going to start off with some training camp standouts. My man Jake Jordan, let us know who stood out in your eye, who you was hearing about, kind of made you, your hairs rise a little bit.
Well, I'm gonna let you talk about your guy that I know that you like you want to, but I'm gonna talk about my guy, James Cook. who I was all for on draft night. And like, look, there's a bunch of guys that we can talk about, but just kind of like out of the rookies, just the plays that we've been hearing and how they've been using James Cook is exactly how I thought the Buffalo Bills were going to use him, and exactly why I thought they needed him. Because again, we love Devin Singletary. I love what he brings to the team. I love what he's done. But James Cook is like more dynamic. I don't know how to really explain it more. The fact that like James Cook is a guy who's proven you can line him up like out wide. Devin Singletary, he's had moments like that where he's kind of been hit or miss. I mean, just go back to when we lost to Kansas City in the playoffs. The ball hits him right in the hands, and he's staring at his hands like, oh, why did I drop the ball? I was like, cut his ass right now. Like, so I love hearing what James Cook has been doing out of practice, and I think that our running back room is going to be amazing this year. And now I'm going to throw it to Justus because I know he wants to talk about Christian.
No, bro, finish. Go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say
time to talk about the man taking first team reps.
I know he's taking first team reps, and like, yeah, dude, James Cook is just kind of proven that, yeah, he's going to be a dynamic part of this offense this year.
He absolutely is.
But the thing is, you always got to take what happens in camp with a grain of salt, right? Like, absolutely. There are these rookies that go out there, and, you know, I actually listened to One Bills Live for the first time in a while today. I've kind of just been like out of podcast and listening to football stuff, kind of just reading it and doing our own thing. And like, I hear that, you know, Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane, they're like, yeah, what they're doing in camp, it's great, but we'll see what they can do under the lights. We'll see what they do out on the field against other people. And sometimes there are camp standouts that, you know, they get into real game situations and it's just not the same. It doesn't translate. So we're going to see. I don't think James Cook is going to have that problem. And I think there's a couple other rookies that we can talk about as well, but especially one being Christian Benford.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. You know, I really talked about Christian Benford, you know, just because when, you know, the draft happened, we were working really hard, and, you know, me and Jake were putting out videos like back to back. And, you know, one of the videos I made was for I think it was the collective draft group. And, you know, I'm going through Villanova's film, I'm going through Christopher's highlights. I'm like, yo, this dude is a dog. Like, y'all, like, this dude is really ill. He's a monster. Mm-hmm. So, you know, hearing or watching that stuff and watching him just be around the ball all the time, watching him shoot the gap, watching him intercept passes, like being a ball hawk and just having great ball awareness, great ball skills, watching him, you know, not only that, but watching him lay people out, like he's literally putting the boom on people. And I saw all that collectively, and I'm like, of course you have to take it with a grain of salt because it's the highlight package. However,
sure,
I feel like you can get a lot out of a highlight package, right? Mm-hmm. Because if somebody's highlight package is not very highlighty, then that tells you a lot. You know, it's like, oh, great catch there. You know, he was wide open up the side, you know, 40-yard catch uncontested because the DB fell. Oh, you know, great play. But, you know, that guy might end up like Zay Jones or something, you know, to that effect. But if it's highlights and they're actually out there making plays, forcing, you know, forcing turnovers and, you know, doing all that stuff. So I saw that and I was really intrigued. So I went back to watch some of his film, and of course, there's a reason he's a 6th round pick. Not only that, but he went to Villanova.
Yeah, he plays at Villanova.
The biggest school, right?
It's a basketball school, man. That's not a football school.
1,000,000% it's a basketball school. But you know, he looked really good to me. And I thought that everything that I saw from him from his tape would translate well to the NFL, considering we have, you know, the developmental staff we have. Yeah. You know, especially in the secondary. We've seen what those secondary coaches do to those players. Tre'Davious White, like a high Jordan player. Need I go? Dane Jackson was a 7th round pick, and now he's a starter. Kyer Elam now is hopefully going to come in and be our next superstar. But you even look at Teron Johnson, who was a 4th, 5th round pick, and is now one of the best slots, if not the best slot in the league. So the secondary clearly is going to be able to develop him well. And although I did say that Christian Benford, to me, is more of like a safety sub linebacker type of guy, and I would like to see him there. If he's getting first team reps at cornerback, that means the sky's the limit for this kid, in my opinion, because I don't even think corner is his best position personally. So, it's absolutely crazy to see him out there, or to hear about him out there. I haven't been able to get to too many. I went to the first week out in Rochester, but I haven't been able to get to too many. To see and hear about him performing well is really encouraging, and it makes me have just a little bit more faith in my my scouting abilities.
There you go, dude. When I heard that Christian Benford was getting first team reps, I was immediately like, okay, there's a little bit something to this. And then you hear he's got some really nice pass breakups. I'm like, all right, this is something that it doesn't surprise me, to be completely honest. And that is just because, these guys that come from these smaller schools, right? Like Christian Benford, like you said, you looked at it, you could see why he was a later round pick. These guys come in with some big chips on their shoulders. And there's one thing we know about this team is that they like guys like that. These guys, they've worked hard their whole life to get to this point right now. And some guys come in the NFL thinking that, they deserve it. And some guys come in saying they still got to earn it. And Christian Benford is one of these guys that he's like, I went to Villanova, dude. Like, I'm not Kyer Elam, who just came out of Florida. Like, that's not me. And I'm not saying that Kyer Elam is one of those guys that thinks he deserves it, because from everything we know about him, he's a dog too. So, like, these guys, they bring in these dudes, and that's kind of the mentality that they probably look for when they're scouting these guys. And Christian Benford, I mean, like Kyer Elam saying, have the playbook on the plane. Like, here's everything. I scouted all these guys, every receiver, what he did against me. I took notes here. Like, those are the kind of guys they're looking for. And I think Christian Benford has that kind of ability to where I think he's pushing the 53-man roster, and I think he's taking guys like Cam Lewis and stuff easily off of the roster. If he's already getting first team snaps already in camp, and maybe it was just to see what he could do against these guys. But from what we heard, it was pretty good. He was, it's not like he was out there getting destroyed. I mean, for some reason, it sounded like when people were talking about Kyer Elam, they're like, Kyer and Dane are getting burnt by Gabe and Diggs. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of receivers that are going to be able to lock those guys down, or corners that'll lock those guys down. So I'm like, and look, Dane, I don't know what the situation's going to be. We hear Jeremy Fowler talking about the Bills are still interested in looking at the cornerback market. For everybody who probably doesn't know what that means that they're looking at Joe Hayden. They're just waiting, and they're waiting to see what they have, to see what kind of deal they probably want to use or give him. But, like, the thing is, these young guys, these dogs, these guys might be pushing guys that we've seen kind of just be the lower tier dudes on the roster the last couple of years out from what we've seen already.
Guys like that, yeah. And real quick, Jake, my man Adam is down in the chat section showing love. Appreciate you, Adam. But he got a pretty interesting hot take here. He says Benford was the unintentional and unexpected eventual replacement for Jordan Poyer. How comfortable are you with potentially that being the case? Let's say, let me give you a scenario, right? Let's say Jordan Poyer plays this year. He's franchise tagged next year. So now 2 years down the line, Christian Benford is going into his third year. Are you comfortable with him playing the safety position?
It all depends, because if I'm and I hate giving an answer like that, but I'll explain it here in a second. Is that when it is a natural transition, right, from a guy who maybe isn't the most athletic corner, right, to go back and play safety. That's something that we see a transition that a lot of guys do. And like, I could see that if Christian Benford, maybe unintentionally, like Adam says, might be that guy that in a couple of years they're like, all right, well, Kyer developed and we still have Trey and we've kind of got some, maybe DeMar Hamlin isn't exactly, you know, going to plan what they were thinking he was going to be, or Jaquan Johnson, or something happens in a game and they're like, we don't have, for some reason, anybody else that can play the position. Benford go out there and like they start kind of training him to be one of those guys that when you look at the roster, it says CB/safety. Like if he becomes that, then that might be an even better way for him to make this roster. Because if Kyer pans out and you still got Trey, it's going to be hard to crack that. But if you are being trained to possibly take over for, you know, a safety that we don't know what the future is right now, and that might be an even better way for him to make this roster, because he can do it. It's a natural transition, and the team likes guys that can be like flexible and play multiple positions.
Right.
So I think that that's something that, yeah, unintentionally, he could be the replacement. Who knows?
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, we see that the Bills defense is comfortable playing the, you know, the thick dime and the big nickel, like, you know, so a guy like Christian Benford would be perfect for that, because it's you don't have to bring in a linebacker. You got a cornerback who is still big, who can still hit, who can still track the ball, and who can make a play, you know, in the pass, in zone coverage as well. So, you know, you get the best of both worlds with that kid, and I'm really excited about it, man. To me, he kind of reminded me, obviously they play different positions, so he doesn't remind me of Michael Parsons in that way, but the energy I got kind of felt like Michael Parsons-y, right? And of course, Michael Parsons was a first-round pick and came on the scene just absolutely nuts, but I feel like, you know, he could be that one day. So I'm excited to see him, and I'm excited to see him in tomorrow's game versus the Colts. So,
yeah,
but actually, I kind of feel like there's a lot of places we can go with after the game. So we'll save that for last, because I feel like there's a lot of things to talk about there.
I'm gonna throw this on the screen. Bills Maniac. We don't have to trade Edmonds for Hayden because Hayden is a free agent. So we're good. Joe Hayden is just sitting out there in free agency, and we've had guys like, as Justus just stares at the screen like, what do you mean trade Tremaine Edmonds
Why
for
are
a
we
free
trading
agent?
Tremaine Edmonds? All right, put it in the comment section, bro. Let me know. Why do you want Tremaine Edmonds to be traded? And just
I don't know if he necessarily. I don't know why that's exactly the first exact like player you go to of like, who are we trading for it? But I think he was just thinking of, out of the whole defense, who's the guy that we might trade? Like, if we like,
but I still like I accept your premise. I still don't know why Tremaine would be that player. I feel like there are players that aren't as good as Tremaine that have a better standing in Bills Mafia, so people maybe misplace their value as higher than Tremaine's.
Sure.
Jordan Poyer is not more valuable than Tremaine Edmonds, ladies and gentlemen. Neither is Micah Hyde.
No,
they're great players, but they're a little their age, right? They're not as valuable as Tremaine Edmonds. They're going to be gone before Tremaine Edmonds is. Like, Tremaine Edmonds is the third, fourth, I would say third. Tre'Davious White, Ed Oliver, I would say, are the two most valuable members of the Bills defense in terms of what we put into them, like their draft pick and, you know, their role.
What resources have been invested in them is what you're saying.
Right,
yeah. Right. I would also put Trey in there just because I
did put Trey.
That was okay.
Trey White and Ed Oliver.
Yeah. Trey White, Ed Oliver, Tremaine. I would say now maybe Kyer because he's a first round pick, but like that's still up in the air. Yeah, I don't know. Tremaine Edmonds too. Look, yeah, I just based off of what we put into them, yeah, those guys are more valuable. But I mean, of course, it's gonna. I can't even say that. I can't say that it would be super hard to replace Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. Both of them, it would be
tough to replace both. But let's be real, like if you replace Micah Hyde, is your safety play going to be as good? No, of course not. But is it going to be substantially worse? No. Like our secondary could manage without one of the two.
And you want to know what completely solidifies that argument right there? Was literally in training camp when Jordan Poyer wasn't playing. Micah Hyde goes, "We didn't skip a beat with Jaquan Johnson."
Exactly.
So
Jaquan Johnson.
Yeah.
How many of y'all knew Jaquan Johnson was on the team before just now? You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah. All right. So, but all right, let's go ahead and so we was in pre-production and Jake said he told me some news that I actually did not know. So what we're gonna do, actually, before we get to that, we'll do this real quick. This is gonna be quick because I don't even know what this is about. Isaiah McKenzie. So there's a little bit of speculation on the Twitter timelines and everything, right? A little bit of speculation that Isaiah McKenzie allegedly is not going to even make the roster. Although we're hearing out of training camp that he's killing it and that he's Josh Allen's third favorite target, behind the superstar that is Stephon Diggs and the budding superstar that is Gabriel Davis. So kind of confused a little bit here. Jake, you want to take a crack at this, bro?
When you brought up that this was happening on Twitter, like, are people getting Isaiah McKenzie confused for Jamison Crowder? Like, maybe, right now,
because I'm not hearing great things about him.
Yeah, because Crowder, again, he's been kind of hurt. He came in towards the end of camp. He was making plays. Don't get it wrong. Josh Allen said, yeah, he's so smooth in his route running, and he's kind of like that. But Isaiah McKenzie's the guy that everybody's raving about, and that finally he's taking that step up to where it looks like he is going to be the guy who takes the reins of the starting slot receiver position. And, I feel like even this starter or cut, I feel like there's a middle ground too. Even if they just give it to Jamison, like he's not getting cut. I mean, like Isaiah McKenzie, we've seen what happens when teams don't game plan for him. Like you get the New England game where he got a majority of his yards last year, like there's something about Isaiah McKenzie that a lot of people maybe are just like, they kind of underrate him, or a lot of people think people overrate him just because it's like, oh, he's fast. But it's like, no, he's been here for basically all of Josh's development. Yeah.
Josh's first preseason completion was to Isaiah McKenzie.
Yeah. He's been here and he's learned under Cole Beasley. And finally, he's developed more than just that guy who you say, all right, go. Just go. Like, he's actually developed and became a more well-rounded receiver, and it's paying dividends, and it's showing in this camp to where, no, Isaiah McKenzie cut, what are you smoking? Like, it is, he's a starter, and if he's not a starter, if Jamison Crowder goes out and has one of the best preseasons in history, or maybe they're going to rotate the two and use them in a situational different, which I could probably see the Bills doing. Like you're gonna see both those guys out there
for sure.
But like,
and a little Khalil Shakir.
Yeah, and that was a guy that I was surprised that we didn't talk about in the standouts. I've been hearing Khalil Shakir is one of those guys that like he's in a couple of years. Maybe next year, he's pushing for the starter. Like, that's crazy. But, of course, it's camp, so we've got a bunch of different things. But, yeah, my answer to this, starter or cut, definitely not the latter. He's definitely either starting or he's number 2 behind Crowder. Like,
and that's, I mean, I kind of taking it off topic a little bit, but you kind of brought up how, he's a starter now. Like, We'll see them in the preseason. But it's pretty cool now to be Bills fans, right? And you look at the preseason, and we're not looking at a QB controversy or a QB battle or anything like that. And not only that, but our depth is really good. So, like, we are out here watching second and third stringers play, but those are guys who we actually look forward to see playing. Like,
I'm excited to watching those guys play.
Right, exactly. I'm excited to see Khalil Shakir and James Cook get burned, and to see Isaiah Hodgins out there and Jake Kumerow and I don't know if Tanner Gentry is still here, but I'm excited to see all those people. So it's pretty cool this year. Having a good team is just really dope. The one thing I will say about having a good team is now I really don't give a damn about the rest of the league. I don't even really pay attention to other teams, really, like, not as much as I used to, at least. Like, I still keep my ears open, but no, it's definitely not there. But let's go ahead and get into our AFC East overview, right? Because Jake was like, I gotta talk smack about these guys.
We gotta. I mean, you literally felt the wrath of Finn's Mafia, apparently.
That was terrible. Oh,
like,
they suck. Like, they don't even know how to like sometimes where you'll come back and it's 20 plus mentions, you're like, oh Lord. Like, there was nothing in there that even like made my heart jump. Like, it just was a bunch of bull. Like, they don't even know how to.
They told you to go talk grass.
Smack. Yeah, like he's like you don't even touch boobs. Go touch boobs. I'm like, bro, And the crazy thing is, I didn't even say anything to the guy. Like, all I did was post a video of Tua Tagovailoa throwing a football and say good morning to Bills Mafia, and my man lost it, yo. He lost it.
Dude, they're okay. So what do they actually call themselves? Because I saw some people calling them Finn's Mafia. I'm like, that's just trying
disgusting.
To poke fun at us. But
that's nasty.
Finn's Nation, right? That's what they call themselves, Finn's Nation, something like that. The thing about the Dolphins is their fan base is where we were when we thought we had a great, like, when we thought our quarterback, the newly drafted, like, EJ Manuel, was going to take us to the promised land. And EJ Manuel, there was even though he was not the greatest quarterback, he was going to be the savior of the Buffalo Bills. And the thing is, Tua is that guy, and they've actually put a good team around him, and they think that is going to change Tua. But really, the problem with Tua has never been what he can't do, or like kind of like his mental processing. It's not that, it's his physical attributes, and how kind of the thing that's lacking on him is that Finns fans right now are like, dude, we've got Tyreek, we're about to kill y'all. Like, that's the feelings that they are giving off when they don't have a quarterback that can utilize Tyreek Hill like that.
This real quick, Jake, I'm gonna let you finish, but sure. I just want to show everybody what Tyreek Hill gets you if you're a Dolphins fan. However, Tua is your quarterback. They were so mad. Like, this was y'all get. Shut up. Get on my mentions.
Yeah. Like, dude, it's just being insecure about the team. And look, we've been there before. Like, Bills Mafia, before we actually started winning, would do that like with Patriots fans, all of us, would do that shit. Like, no, we're gonna get you this year or whatever. Like, no, you guys, Tom Brady's going to fall off the cliff. You guys are going to suck. And then they don't. And they just keep beating you. And you get sad. And then the next year you go in and you pick up a few high-priced free agents. You overpay a few guys. And you're like, no, this is the year we get y'all. That's the cycle the Dolphins are in right now. And what's even worse than their fan base is how cringy their head coach is. Like
he doesn't look like a real person.
If
he reminds me
of
Logic the rapper.
If I see one more post of him coming into the media room, taking selfies with everybody, like cracking jokes, and like everyone's like, "Oh my God, we love him so much. He's the best ever." I'm like, dude, he has not called one single snap for them in the NFL, and they're like, "No, his offense, we're about to just run circles around y'all. This ain't the same Dolphins team." It's the same defense. It's literally the same defense with the same defensive coaching staff.
40 up one in the one game, and then 35 in the other game where they didn't score a single point. So
yeah, and the year before that, the same defense that got slapped by the backups. So congratulations. It's
for a playoff spot.
Yeah, like I cannot believe. Now look, I know a lot of Dolphins fans that actually, are realistic, and I've had conversations with, because I live in Florida, so I'm like surrounded by Dolphins or Bucks or Jaguars fans. Like, so I've had actual conversations, and a lot of them are just like, yeah, it really just all comes down to Tua. Like that's it. They're like the team's good. We'll see what Tua's like. But there's the Tua-non and the Tua-neers out here that are like, no, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Like, he is the King's Hawaiian roll. That is him. And like, we're all looking at him, we're like, he's actually like whole wheat bread right now. Like, we don't know. He's not a King's Hawaiian roll.
Not
like,
yet. We gotta see.
Yeah.
Honestly, if the Dolphins were able to pull off that Brady hostile takeover, I'd be petrified. I'd be petrified.
I'd be sitting here right now saying, like, yeah, we're gonna have to fight for the AFC East. Like, it's
exactly. Yeah, it's really up to Tua. It is really up to Tua. All right, so let's go ahead and move to let's talk about the Patriots, because I feel like that'd be a little brief. Obviously, they drafted Cole Strange, a third-round pick in the first round, and
yeah, is something playing? It's like your phone going off or something.
Is that me?
I think so. Something's playing.
Well, yeah. All right, so I'm sorry, but Cole Strange. They drafted Cole Strange, and
then they drafted Tyquan Thornton, the wide receiver, which I don't know why they drafted him, just because every other team in the AFC East got a fast quarterback or a fast wide receiver, and they were like, well, who's the fastest guy on the board? Oh, we got a 7th round draft grade on this guy. I draft him in the 3rd round. Like, we
the Rams coach. I remember. Yeah. All right, so I'm sorry, I got a little distracted. So, the Patriots, they have Mac Jones in his second year. The offense is not awful. It's it's serviceable. I feel like they can get some job done, depending. And then also the defense. They don't have J.C. Jackson. They don't have Stephon Gilmore. Jalen Mills, I think, is their first CB1, if I'm not mistaken. So I have no faith in their defense, like, at all. And I really feel like there could be possibly a chance that they finish, not anymore. I would have said 4th, but I'm going to say 3rd now in the AFC East.
So with the Patriots, everything that we hear, and I think Bill's Maniac said, all I hear is struggles with the Pats. Should be an easy 2. The thing about the Patriots is, you say, I don't have faith in their defense. Like, nothing. If there's one thing about a Bill Belichick team that I know, is that somehow that defense is still going to be good. It's
like Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, it's like still going to be good. It doesn't matter. They're going to go pick up your local like Walmart bag boy, and he's going to be in consideration for the Pro Bowl. Like, that's
Malcolm Butler randomly became
the
Pro Bowl.
Like, and then you see what happens to Malcolm Butler when he goes to where he went to Tennessee, and then it was
terrible.
The thing is that defense is probably going to be solid. Their play calling this year, this is probably the funniest storyline going into the Patriots season is they still have not named who the offensive coordinator is going to be for the New England Patriots. Is it going to be Bill Belichick? No, probably not. Is it going to be Joe Judge? No. All signs point to Matt Patricia. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, okay, Matt Patricia, sure, right? And it's like, all right, well, what's going to happen? All the reports out of camp is that this offense looks terrible.
Yeah.
Then you've got your 9-year veteran running back, James White, just retiring 28 days before the season.
Right.
Like, something's telling me that this team is going to be in for a rude awakening because you lose Josh McDaniels, kind of one of the only guys that in the league is considered to be one of those really good offensive-minded guys and has been able to take teams that should not have been good, but then take them with a average quarterback, sometimes like with Matt Castle in those years. They took them and were able to win games. And he even took Tim Tebow to the playoffs. Like, that, he's an offensive-minded coach. He's gone now. Mac Jones is now in a – it's not going to be like a new system, but he's not going to have that guy in his ear holding his hands. And I don't know. I saw what Matt Patricia did with the Lions, and that had to be some of the worst football play calling I have ever seen in my life. So I really don't know what this Patriots offense is going to look like this year. It literally could just be them handing the ball off to Damian Harris 100 times a game. Like,
that's basically what they did last year.
I think they're going to be bad this year. And when I say bad is, I think they're going to be like average. This is going to be like a 7, like a 7-10 year. And I think that, Bill Belichick, this team, all the signs, it's just trending downwards. Nothing is looking up for this team. Not one part do I look at this team. They got overpaid tight ends, old receivers. They've got a quarterback who's good, but then, like, Bill Belichick's the worst GM ever. Like, nothing looks good for this team, and the future of this team looks so bleak that, like, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, in the next couple of years, Bill Belichick retires and that team is the doormat of the AFC East. Like,
oh yeah, I can see
it. That's just how it's trending for that team. So this year, I'm not worried about them. Who knows? They might pull something out and be that team there at the end that is trying to, compete with us. But no, I think this year is going to be a tough one for them.
Yeah, I can't see the Patriots getting more than 8 wins, not in this AFC.
Yeah.
It would take a major meltdown from 2 of the AFC West teams. You would still need the AFC South. You would probably get 2 of those teams being trash, and maybe even 3 if the Titans don't, pucker up. And you would still need the North to, in order.
Do you want to quickly go through their schedule, and we'll just go? You can just say W or L
for the Patriots.
Yeah, I'll go through their schedule real quick. Week 1 they play the Dolphins.
L.
Week 2 they play the Steelers.
L.
Week 3 they play the Ravens.
L.
Week 4 they play the Packers.
L.
Then they play the Lions.
Dub.
Then they play the Browns.
Dub.
Then they play the Bears.
Dub.
Jets.
Dub.
Colts.
L.
Jets.
Dub.
Vikings.
Dub.
Bills.
L.
Cardinals.
I'm gonna say L.
Raiders.
Now that depends. Now, if the Raiders is one of the two teams in the West that slump, I'm gonna say a dub, but I'm gonna guess an L.
That's Josh McDaniels versus Bill Belichick.
Oh, that's probably an L.
Yeah.
Or a dub for the Patriots.
That's what I said. That feels like a game that the Patriots are just gonna win.
Yeah.
And then Bengals.
I don't like Bengals, so I'm gonna say dub.
Dolphins.
I'll say they get that dub in the second game.
And then they finish their schedule with the Bills.
L. Was it like 7 or 8?
Yeah. So it's gonna be. I didn't even notice Bills Maniacs over here.
Shout out to Bills Maniac. Yeah, facts. Thank you, bro.
It's all right. Look, the Patriots are gonna be average this year, man. Like, they're gonna beat the bad teams. They're gonna struggle against the good teams. That's it. And there's a couple of games in there that we said, they might, like you said, that they might beat the Bengals. I think the Bengals are in contention at that point. I think they're beating the brakes off the Patriots. And then, like, the Raiders game, that's a toss-up to me because, you never really get an old, Bill Belichick disciple coming in and beating Bill Belichick. I feel like the real last time that really happened and was such a big deal was it was Vrabel, and then before that was like Mangini with the Jets. Like, it was. So it's really just like
it's like when Brady came to New England and they kept it like mad close the entire game, even though they should have blew out the Patriots.
That's the thing. The Patriots had no business being in that game, but that team felt like they had to, like, hey, we've got to beat Tom. Like, we've got to. Like, and I think that's going to be an energy for a couple of those games. But yeah, I think they're getting like 7-8 wins max this year. It's not going to be a great year for them. And I think you gave them the second win with the Dolphins. I feel like the Dolphins, if they're in contention at that point, the Dolphins, all they had to do was beat the Patriots last year, and they could have been in the playoffs. But what happened? They choked. Like, and that was the classic Tua game of Tua throwing picks and melting down, and
they have Ryan Fitzpatrick to save them.
Oh, but, no, sorry. The Dolphins had to beat the Titans, and then
that was like week 16 or something, right?
Yeah, if they beat the Titans, then they had to go play the Patriots. And remember, because we were talking about who was going to win the AFC East. Yeah, and then the Titans smacked them, and then hey, what up, Izzy? Thank you, Izzy. I appreciate that, man. And yeah, man, like, these teams, they're gonna bungle it somehow, and the Patriots, they're gonna be average this year. Like, in a couple of those flip games, maybe, let's see, this is my first podcast with y'all and love it. I'll be back. Hey, thanks, Bills Maniac. Love that. I always love when we're able to have people, they listen to us and they're like, hey, you guys are good. I'll be back. Back. But yeah, man, it's the Patriots, whatever. Let's get on to the Jets. Like, we got to talk about these Jets now.
So Jake actually, broke this news to me. I didn't know. Apparently, Zach Wilson had a non-contact knee injury.
Yeah, he went to go make a juke move, and then as soon as he planted his foot, I think they're playing at MetLife. We know about that turf in MetLife. They get so many injuries on that thing. Your cleat gets stuck for just a little while longer on that cut, and you just destroy your knee on that. And it's happened to so many players. And Zach Wilson goes to make a cut in the first quarter of this first preseason game. What happens? He pops up in the air, lands on the ground, hobbles off the field, and they're saying it's a knee injury. And a lot of people are reporting that it's an ACL. And yeah, same. Izzy just said Mekhi Becton too. Mekhi Becton's out there practicing on that field, and he destroys his knee. So it's like the Jets. I actually had high hopes for the Jets this year. I thought that they could take third in the AFC East, and just like I thought that they might push the Patriots, depending on, like, now we gave the Patriots a couple extra wins because they're playing the Jets, and the Jets are gonna have maybe Joe Flacco at quarterback or Mike White. So it's like I
Hey,
joke.
this might be an opportunity for Jimmy G.
See, that's what I was thinking. I was talking with my brother earlier, and I was like, "Do they get Jimmy G?" I think their cap situation with the contract, it doesn't really allow the Jets to go after him, and I think it kind of makes more sense for Jimmy G to go to the Giants, not the Jets, because the Giants are in a division where, like, the Cowboys are in flux. The football team, or they're not the football team; they're the Commanders now. The Commanders, they're probably going to be terrible.
Yeah, they gave up. They signed Carson Wentz. So it's like, we're not even going to be competitive.
Yeah, and it's going to be the Eagles. Like, and the NFC is going to be weak next year. Like, if I'm the Giants, look, they got the pieces. Maybe not Kenny Golladay. Apparently, he's garbage now. But if they get a decent quarterback in there, like, they can contend. And
the Eagles kind of remind me of the Dolphins a little bit. It's like this stacked roster, but you're just not sure about the guy behind center.
I trust Jalen Hurts so much more than I do
Me too.
Though. Like, at least Jalen Hurts has that running aspect to his game that, like, if it's just not working with his arm, like, he can just kill you. It's like the Lamar Jackson type of situation where it's like, if Lamar's having a bad day with his arm, okay, tuck it, put it on the ground, and they can take over that way. So I would want to, if you had to ask me today, who do I think finishes with a better record? I think it's the Eagles easily finish with a better
especially
record.
Being in that NFC East.
Yeah,
for sure. And I agree. I like Jalen Hurts more. I'm just saying that if the Eagles had a better quarterback, they could be like Super Bowl type potential.
Yeah.
So that's why I say that. But yeah, man, I was low key a little bit scared of the Jets. Like, not scared in the sense like, oh, they're going to be a challenge to us, but like, I could see what they're trying to build.
in a couple of years.
Exactly. Right. And those are the most dangerous teams. The people who build it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a little worried about, what they were building over there. But I mean, if you are losing your first round left tackle, top 10 pick left tackle, top 2 pick quarterback, a full year because of a broken kneecap and a potential ACL, you lose an entire year of development, and that's going to suck.
100%. And then they go out and they pay Dwayne Brown, left tackle, a 2-year, $22 million deal for someone who's 37 and his prime is long gone. So they pay Dwayne Brown, and then Zach Wilson gets hurt anyway. So, like, it's crazy. The Jets, it almost seems like they just cannot catch a break. And look, I don't want to sit here and make like it just sucks for the Jets, man. Like, I don't want any team to just suck perpetually. I feel like if any team deserves to at least be, except the Patriots, okay? Like, they're the exception, not the rule. But I like the Jets, like, that fan base is kind of like in the same boat we were. They're just waiting for somebody. And I thought, okay, well, maybe they could build a respectable team to compete. But now it's just like the boogeyman is sitting there in MetLife, just like, and you're gone, and you're gone, and like every single year. And
Jake's
those
a nice
fans
guy.
I
gotta say real quick, I don't mean to cut you off, but if you are a fan of an AFC team that is not called the Buffalo Bills, I hope your team loses every single game. All right, I'll never wish injury on anybody, but I'm not gonna be sad. All right, if you.
I'm not sad that the Jets.
I wish the worst possible circumstances on any AFC team that's not the Bills.
I'm just a overall football fan too. So like,
me too.
I don't want to see. I see a team. I saw potential in Zach Wilson. I thought, hey, maybe they do it the right way, and then he goes down like that. It's just unfortunate, but it's part of the game. And like, does it benefit the team that I do? Oh, hell yeah! Like, oh, okay, the Jets, they're set back now, but like, I've got other AFC East team fans in the fam, so like I know like they're so optimistic, and then to just see this is just like, I'm like, I am so sorry, dude. We're gonna go shoot for a Super Bowl. I hope your quarterback is Okay, like, but
right.
whatever. Like, Bills winning the damn Super Bowl. Like,
that's what we need. Bills winning the Super Bowl. All right, so as you guys know, the Buffalo Bills take on the Indianapolis Colts tomorrow, and the Colts will be coming to Buffalo. And so all of you guys going, I hope you guys have a great time. Please stay safe. Make a lot of noise for these guys and everything. But we're gonna go ahead and talk about it just a little bit. Actually, before we talk about that, I just want to briefly mention: did you see any of the Browns game? Just now?
I saw that Deshaun Watson looked like absolutely.
He looked like hot boo boo.
Yeah, and I thought it's funny because the Jaguars fans were shouting, like the 30 Jaguars fans that were in the stadium were shouting obscenities that I cannot repeat on the air here at him, but like they were. I'll let you feel that, you sick duck. That is what the chant rhymed with, and like it's just like I can't believe, like, he looks bad, and then I love the fact that he looks bad because now he's going to get suspended for a year, and that'll be 3 years of him not playing, and his only time back he looked terrible in the preseason. Like, and he's not allowed to train with the Browns if he's suspended. So, like, I mean, after today, when he came out and, for so long, he's been saying that I didn't do anything, today he goes, oh, I want to apologize to the women that I've affected. It basically admitting that something has happened and something did happen, denying it for so long. And then now saying sorry to people. Like, it's kind of like, oh, okay. All right. The jig is up. He knows he's probably getting suspended. And like, I couldn't wish anything. I don't care. Like, I don't care. I wish doom upon the Browns franchise. I wish doom upon, not their fans, because I feel bad for their fans. Not the ones that are out there defending him on social media, by the way. Like, those people, I don't understand you. Like, if Josh Allen was in this situation, I'm sorry, I wouldn't defend Josh Allen. Like, that's just me, though. There's some fans that are weird like that, I guess, and a lot of them in the dog pound, apparently there's some weird dogs out there. So I'm just, I don't care about Deshaun Watson, to be completely honest with you. I was surprised that he was even playing in the preseason game, and I thought the NFL was just going to be swift about it then and be like, oh, okay, you're going to play him, all right, well, he's suspended for the year, all right, there you go. Don't even load him on the team bus. But who knows?
Yeah. But Josh has a bad. You be keeping him.
He sure do. Is he?
All right. So we are going to get into the Bills preview versus the Colts real quick, Jake. Just real quick. Sure. Give us your thoughts on last night's Giants game.
Is Daniel Jones that guy? I don't know.
Not from what I'm hearing. They on Twitter saying that Tyrod should start over.
Bro, like, so
Giants fans are saying this.
Yeah. And again, if you're a Giants fan at this point, man, you wanted Daniel Jones to work out, right? Like, and you kept trying. That experiment hasn't worked out. And the Jets actually got ahead of the Giants in this respect, where they traded away Sam Darnold. They were like, we're not even going to let you play this last year with us because we know you're bad. Like, now the Giants have Daniel Jones, and all the reports are that he's bad. What team is going to want to trade for him? Maybe the Seahawks. Who knows? But, like, now you've got Tyrod, and you're like, okay, are we going to start Tyrod Taylor? We all know Tyrod's he's not the answer for them. Yeah, he's not the answer for them. He's not the long-term option. I understand he's a safe bet. He's a good guy to have as a backup, but he's not. If you have high aspirations this season, those aren't the two guys that you go into the season with. So, like I've said, I think the Giants should make a play for Jimmy G, or if Jimmy G is released, if they're making that play, they said if he's not traded by like the end of the month, that he might be released. In that case, I think the Giants need to be the first one sitting there because the Jets aren't going to. They have a second-year guy. Yeah, he just got hurt. But, like, they still have years left with him. Daniel Jones, he's at the end. Tyrod Taylor, he's not the guy. He's not your long-term answer. You can get a guy who has proven that he can win games in Jimmy G. Brian Daboll has coached Jimmy G before in his time when he was in New England. It just makes sense to get Jimmy G. And in my honesty, if they have high expectations for this season to try and go and compete in the NFC. If they don't, they'll just roll with those two guys and then they'll go get a quarterback next year. I think that's what they'll do in the draft. They'll suck, and then they will just get that draft. There you go, Izzy. They will just get the quarterback next year, kind of like the Jets did. They were like, we're just gonna get rid of this guy, and now we're gonna just draft our replacement quarterback. So, I don't. I also see Colin. Anyone, honestly, I think if anybody should draft or get Colin Kaepernick, it should be the Browns this year. Like Jacoby Brissett, yeah, he might be that guy, but I think Jacoby still with Stefanski. Stefanski was able to get a great year out of Baker Mayfield. I think he can get a great year out of Jacoby Brissett. Not like amazing, but still good enough. So
I don't know, man. Jacoby kind of lost my favor after last year.
When he's with the Dolphins?
Yeah. But let's go ahead and get into the Buffalo Bills preview for the Colts.
Sure.
Again, it's the Colts are coming to town, and the Colts just recently acquired Matt Ryan. Obviously, they have that dynamic running attack with Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines and that crazy great offensive line. They got Paris Campbell. They just drafted Alec Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
And they have some. T.Y. Hilton is kind of Michael Pittman.
Yeah.
He's a beast. And their defense is really good too. Darius Leonard and obviously everybody that comes with them there. And I think that's the Titans that just got Robert Woods. Anyway. We probably won't see none of those guys, and honestly, I really
we're gonna see Matt Ryan.
Why?
Matt Ryan is playing. I forget.
That's stupid.
I again after the Zach Wilson thing that just happened tonight, I think if you're a team, don't put your starting quarterback out there.
Yeah. What the hell? Matt Ryan is a 17-year veteran. What do you think?
I think it's just for probably
to learn the playbook and I get it, but no, I wouldn't risk it.
No, I wouldn't do it at all either. I do it in the last preseason game, but like maybe just a couple of drives to start the game, and then but in the first preseason game, I don't want any of my starters touching the field, dude. Like my primetime starters, like if it were the Bills, I don't want Deion Dawkins out there. I don't want Josh Allen out there. I don't want Stephon Diggs out there. I don't want Gabe out there. On defense, I don't want Von Miller out there. I don't want I just want to see the backup guys going. I know some teams don't have that luxury because they're trying to see actually who the starter is going to be, so those preseason minutes are valuable. But no, dude, I'm surprised. I think Indy is actually favored in this game.
Honestly, I couldn't care less about who's even on the other side of the field.
Well, yeah,
I don't personally care about the preseason game to see the game. I just want to see how some of the players that I like are performing, right? So that kind of brings us into the next topic, right? Players to watch in tomorrow's game,
sure,
right? So let's start on the offensive side of the football, right? You're not going to see Josh Allen. Dear God, please don't let us see Josh Allen.
We won't.
Good.
No way.
All right, so you're looking at guys like Case Keenum. You're looking at guys like James Cook and Zach Moss and maybe Gabriel Davis possibly. You're looking at Isaiah McKenzie's and Isaiah Hodgins and O.J. Howard's. guys like this, right? So which offensive playmakers or not even playmakers, just offensive players, period, are you looking forward to seeing? And also let us know down in the comments who y'all looking forward to seeing.
So offensive players I'm looking forward to watching is I'm actually going to be staring at our offensive line more than anything, because I want to see why am I blanking on our offensive line coach already? I've literally been talking about it every single Madden cast. Aaron Cromer. I want to see what the backups look like blocking for James Cook in the preseason already. We're gonna see some guy, like we might see Spencer Brown for like a series or something, but like you're gonna see. I want to see what these guys look like. I want to see what the running game looks like, because I can really see when we've got guys like Case Keenum and Matt Barkley out there, we're gonna be probably trying to see, all right, if it's a battle between James Cook and Zach Moss, like what's this offensive line looking like? How are they blocking? I'm gonna be watching that. I can't wait to see Khalil Shakir. Yep, there you go, Bills Mania. Yeah, I can't wait to see Khalil Shakir. Of course, I live in Florida, so I have no ability to get to any of those training camps. So everything I hear is what people put on Twitter. So I want to see if Khalil Shakir is going to look like one of those guys that in a couple of years is kind of like set in stone to be the starting slot receiver, barring any injury or stuff like that. I'll be curious to see if Jamison Crowder is out there. I'm actually going to look to see who is the slot guy that they actually do put in the preseason game, because if Jamison Crowder's not playing and Isaiah McKenzie is, I'm kind of going to see, all right, who's the guy that they're really looking at? Like, because usually your player that you view as more important is the guy who's kind of sitting and he's not playing. So I'm really going to be looking at that and seeing what guys are starting and who are surprising guys that do get thrown in there as well. So yeah, I'm definitely looking at Shakir and that O-line. So me and Bill's Maniac, yeah, we are on the same boat, man.
For me, on the offensive side of the ball, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what James Cook and Khalil Shakir, can bring to the table. I'm excited to see what the schemes are for the run game, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, we have a new offensive line coach. We have a new offensive coordinator, and I'm excited to see like what new stuff they bring to the table, mm-hmm. like versus Dayball, right? Excuse me. His run schemes weren't anything to write home about, right? They were really generic and really vanilla. Run up the middle. So yeah, exactly. So with a single back, like no full back, no nothing. So I'm excited to see what Aaron Cromer and Ken Dorsey and Joe Brady and Mike Shula, can bring to the table in terms of creating schemes and gap assignments and making sure or which gaps are opening up, pulling guards or sweep plays, counters. Like I'm excited to see how they do it. You're probably not going to see too many read options considering nor Case Keenum nor Matt Barkley can do what Josh Allen can do athletically in terms of running football. So it's kind of hard to dictate that. But I want to see just how we run the football and how effective it is, especially versus the Colts who, ran down our throats last year in the rain and everything. So, of course, it doesn't really mean anything to pay them back, but, I want to see how it translates, just in the first preseason game.
Yeah. And, just to give everybody fair warning, obviously people, if you watch football every single year, you probably know this, is that the offense you're going to see tomorrow, the reason I say I'm looking at the O-line and stuff like that is that's kind of the technical stuff. That's the offense you're going to see tomorrow is not, they're not putting on paper the full type of offense that they're running in the regular season. It's going to be very, very stripped down basic. That's why when I'm looking at it, I'm expecting a lot of run game because I fully expect that is kind of their focus of trying to get that absolutely as polished as possible because Sean McDermott loves that. Yet there's going to be throwing. They're going to throw the ball. But again, it's the most important part of the preseason is nobody cares about winning games. If you care about winning games in the preseason, you're one of those teams that probably only wins 4 games in the regular season. Like, look at the Super Bowl years. Those teams went 0 whatever. I'm pretty sure they lost every single preseason game. Like, because the starters weren't playing. You didn't that was just kind of what happened. This is going to be guys getting practice. It's really going to be too. We're talking about guys on the field. I want to see what the play calling is like for Ken Dorsey. How's Ken Dorsey going to be? Is he going to be in the box? Is he going to be on the sideline? How is he going to play game? Because we know Dayball on the sideline was absolutely terrible at calling plays. Then he goes up to the box, and we get all new Brian Dayball, and we're like, oh, okay. So we're gonna see what is gonna happen. I'm so like locked in on everything other than seeing flashy plays from a lot of guys. I want to see like the nitty gritty of this.
I remember last year in the preseason, Brian Dayball was pulling out all the stops. We was playing the Packers, and I was like, "Oh my God, people are running wide open all over the field." And then we get into the regular season. I'm
pretty sure we won every preseason game last year.
But I remember seeing that in the preseason, and then we get to the regular season game. In the AFC divisional game, he's out here running 3 dives in a row. Yeah. Like, I was like, what the hell? Like, he was not nearly as creative. Even in that first game versus Pitt, as he was, in the preseason with the Packers. But let's go ahead and flip sides of the football. Right. So we're going to go over the defense. And, of course, you got some rookies, Terrell Bernard, Kyrie Elam, obviously.
Christian Benford.
Yes. So who you looking forward to seeing? And, of course, I don't know if Von Miller going to play, so let's scratch him. But I'm sorry.
I better not see that number 40 on the field at all. I don't want to see it. He's 40, right, with the Bills? Okay. I don't want to see it. Don't want to see him out there. Don't want to see Ed Oliver out there. I want to see Jordan Phillips, Tim Settle, AJ Epinesa, and Boogie Bash. That's the D-line I want to see out there. If you don't even want to put Boogie Basham, give me Shaq Lawson as a
Boogie Basham better be out there.
Yeah, well, like that's the thing. Or if AJ, like all those guys,
AJ and Boogie need to be out. They need to be proving themselves because this is. I mean, for AJ specifically, this is it, brother. If you don't perform this year, you're probably not going to be on the team next year. Hell, if you don't perform well in this training camp slash preseason, you might not see the regular season.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sitting here too. Izzy, Vaughn, Ed, Milano, and Edmonds, and the best safety duo better not play. They ain't. Those guys are not playing. All right. Like, I really, those guys are going to be sitting on the sidelines cheering guys on. I'm really going to just be looking to see what is Dane like, because we know Dane's going to be out there. If Dane Jackson isn't out there, I'm going to be kind of like, if it's Benford and Kyer, I'm going to be like, you really didn't think that Dane Jackson had to play in the preseason? Like, I'm going to be a little concerned about that one a little bit, but like, I'm really going to be looking at Kyer Elam. I want to see what he looks like, because I'm wondering if the Colts are going to roll Michael Pittman out there. And if it is, like, if it's just for one series, I got to see what Kyer Elam looks like against Michael Pittman, or against, like, T.Y. Hilton won't be out there, but like, I gotta see what those guys can do, because that's kind of the one question mark, right? We talked about it when we had Jay Spence on for the Versus, is we were like, the cornerback room is still the one that's got the question marks around it. Every other position has kind of got enough beef in the room to where we're like, all right, like they're gonna be solid. Corner, there's question marks on some of these guys. So I'm going to be looking to see what those guys do as much on the defensive side. I'm going to see, are they getting cooked? What is it? Are they just like, what are they missing? What are they not exactly getting? Like I'm like the worst person to watch football with, at least in that regard. When I in like the preseason, I'm watching it like it's like a game film and I'm breaking it down. Like I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, how'd that guy get beat? Show me the replay. I want to see what exactly happened. In the regular season, it's not like that. But yeah, I'm gonna be with the cornerback room as invested as I am in it, and this whole offseason, how invested I've been in the cornerback room, I'm gonna be watching them all day.
All right. So, of course, you guys know I'm looking forward to seeing Christian Benford. I'm also looking forward to seeing that, Boogie Basham, AJ Epps, and that's I want to see those guys make plays. I want to see this defensive line get busy. I want to see energy. I want to see fire. I want to see, I want to see them with Chris Sims will say rockets up their ass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what I need from them, because I know our secondary is going to be good. I also want to see, like you said, Kyrie Elam get some game reps. Christian Benford get some game reps. I want to see some turnovers defense. Okay. Excuse me. We had the number 1 defense in the world last year, and we barely had any turnovers, which I guess is kind of a good
number
thing.
1 defense in the world.
I mean,
not in the NFL, the world, man.
So, but that's the thing, we had the number 1 defense, and we barely had any turnovers. Of course, like we had turnovers, we had great turnover differential until our offense started wilding at the end of the season. But that's kind of a good thing, because that means it's sustainable. We weren't depending on turnovers like the Cowboys defense was, where they just got mad turnovers and they're never going to get that many turnovers ever again. So that it is kind of encouraging, but I do want to see more turnovers this year. But I have a question. I think my man Paul Hood up in the comment section, he asked if Zach Moss was healthy. Zach Moss is healthy, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so.
I have to ask, does Zach Moss have a chance to make this team? And what's his role if he does?
I mean, yeah, he has a chance, but it depends on what position groups are the Buffalo Bills going to carry more in. We see all these receivers that we have now. It's like, okay, are we going to carry more receivers than we normally do? And where do you got to cut back on that? Is what's his name? Do we still have Tywan Jones? Is he still on the squad?
He is on the team. He is listed right now as the 5th running back.
Yeah, so he's listed as the 5th running back. He always takes up a running back spot because of his special teams ability. So Zach Moss is on the bubble this year. I think if James Cook comes out and he's that guy, like it's like, okay, him and Devin Singletary are going to be the 1-2 punch. If Moss is on the roster, he's the guy who's deactivated every single week. Like it's, and I hate to say that because Zach Moss, he's a cool dude, right? But it's like you're supposed to be out here making business decisions that we just kind of haven't seen that. It's kind of been hit or miss with Zach Moss. So he's really going to have to show out. It's
definitely not, Marshawn Lynch 2.0.
Yeah, it's not locked in stone with Moss. He's on the bubble. I think he's easily on the bubble there. Zach Moss is like just kind of looking where the Bills in the future are going with it. It's just kind of like, all right, Devin Singletary and James Cook might be the plan. Zach Moss, sorry it didn't work out, but I don't know, man. Zach Moss.
So, real quick, I want to go through this and kind of take a look at this.
Sure.
And get you guys' opinion as well as you guys in the comment section. I mean, of course. So, if we look at the Buffalo Bills depth chart, right, we can see here that Gabriel Davis is the number 2 receiver.
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs is the number 1 receiver. James Kumaro, of course, Isaiah McKenzie there, the number 3 spot. James Kumaro at the number 4 spot. Isaiah Hodgins at the number, that would be number 6 because Jameson Crowder's there in the slot. And Khalil Shakir. Yeah. Oh, Lord. That's a lot of talent. That's a lot of talent.
Cut down day is going to be crazy.
See, look at all those slots, though. Isaiah McKenzie, Jameson Crowder, Khalil Shakir. I mean, wow. Oh, wow.
That's
all right. So let me ask you this, Jay Jordan, and you guys in the comment section as well. This is kind of out of left field, but I want to know: should the Buffalo Bills sign Odell Beckham Jr.?
I'm so glad you asked me this question, because every single night in the gym for the last 3 nights, I've been talking with my older brother about OBJ. And at this point in time, no, the Buffalo Bills should not sign Odell Beckham Jr. right now. Obviously, you don't sign Odell Beckham Jr. right now because he's not healthy. And the Bills right now, they've got other positions that they're worrying about other than wide receiver right now. They're not hurting at wide receiver, right? Like Odell Beckham Jr. is the kind of, you can sign OBJ and put him on the pup list. Sure, you can do that. But I kind of agree with Bill's Maniac right here is that I think he's a mid-season addition. I think that the Bills already have talked with OBJ and his representation, and they probably have, here's the deal we would give you, right? Here's the deal we would give you when you're healthy and you pass physical. I'm sure in the drafts right now of Adam Schefter, there's a tweet that is saying that the Bills have a contract ready for OBJ contingent on him passing a physical whenever that happens this season. So right now, no, you don't need to sign OBJ. OBJ is probably ready to pack his bags and come to Buffalo any day now. It's just the Bills right now, we have $5 million in cap space. Like, we're really kind of cap strapped right now. So we're kind of looking who are we cutting ties with, what's going to happen. But right now, signing him doesn't make the most sense. But waiting towards the mid-season where maybe we have some guys freed up and, like, maybe that's when Khalil Shakir, you go, hey, like, Izzy, if any of our top 3 go down, sign them immediately. Of course, that's why I think there's probably a deal in play. Like, it's sitting there. They've talked to him, and they're like, hey, we will give you this kind of deal. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 2-year deal with an out after 1. Like, that could be the kind of deal where we're like, oh, my God, we have OBJ for 2 years? This is crazy. Because Brandon Beane does that to spread the money out so that it fits under this $5 million cap space we have or whatever, at least at this time talking. So maybe that's when you go, okay, Khalil Shakir, you take a back seat. We're going to, stash you on the practice squad and then protect you every single week. And we're bringing in OBJ. Like that's, and then you kind of work with your roster at that point. So, but do I agree that we should sign OBJ? I mean, I'd be dumb to say no. Shit.
All right, so my man Paul Hood, he says if they do, which wide receiver would it impact the most as far as snaps and position on the field? Who would?
So here's what I think they do. Right? Who does it impact? It impacts I believe it impacts Gabe Davis's snaps on the outside.
You think so?
I think Gabe Davis in that position plays more inside or maybe even the slot.
I would think OBJ would play more slot if that's the case.
OBJ's a real big threat on the outside, though. Gabe Davis can work.
Anywhere.
Gabe Davis over the middle. Yeah, but Gabe Davis over the middle of the field, most of his catches came from the middle of the field last year. So putting him in the slot makes a ton of sense. So when I'm looking at that, plus they can go 4 wide receivers, and then you don't really have to worry about it in that kind of position. But it's like, I think that it probably, Bills Maniac said Kumaro. I don't even know if Kumaro's on the active day rosters.
He's listed as the number 4 wide receiver.
Well, right now,
5 behind Crowder.
Right now.
Oh, so, you mean like at
the I'm talking in the middle of the season, right? This is when I think we sign OBJ. Is like in the middle of the season when he finally passes that physical, and then it's like OBJ, he's cleared to play. Like I'm telling you, right after he's cleared to play, Adam Schefter sends that tweet out. Like it's just sitting there waiting. So yeah, I think that it could impact Gabe just on the outside, but. Let's see. If Gabe moves to slot, he's still on the field. That boots McKenzie. And then, yeah, if they go 4, they can keep McKenzie on the field if they want to. So it's like there's a ton of options with that. Man.
I really like I get it. But who gives a damn who it affects? I mean, okay, that sounds rude. I didn't mean that in a rude way.
Right. I give a damn about Gabe's snap count.
Gabe is gonna be on the field, Jake. Yeah. I promise you, Gabe is gonna be on the field.
I know.
What I mean when I say that is that, like, let's say it does affect Isaiah McKenzie's snaps or his targets. Let's say it does affect Jameson Crowder's snaps or targets. It's Odell Beckham.
Yeah.
Who cares if they're you know what I mean? Like, if we're winning games and he's helping us potentially win a championship. I don't care if Josh's snaps are affected. Like you know what I mean? Like, so I feel like he's a good enough name. I would sign him, and of course, you know, they probably do have to wait until he can pass a physical and everything. But I would say, hey, stash him. You know, put him, like you said, put him on a physically unable to play.
Yeah.
List, and I'll be because you run the risk of somebody else snatching him up. And then you don't have that in your back pocket anymore. I can see the Chiefs doing that. Yeah, facts.
Well, that's like when they went out and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna go get Melvin Ingram." I'm like, "No, don't do that. I wanted Melvin Ingram.
I wanted Melvin Ingram bad, for real. But I would rather have James Cook. So
I 100%. So the one thing about OBJ is I hear a lot of people going, "Oh, we don't need OBJ." Yeah, we don't need him. But like,
you didn't need Von Miller.
You're tell me you don't like Von Miller him than you are without him.
Exactly.
Like, I hear that, and I'm like, yeah. Do you remember the playoffs when we went in and we just signed Kenny Stills? You just remember when we did that? And
I was amped. Yeah, he didn't play a snap.
Yeah, he didn't play a snap. We kept him on the practice squad, but it was like, oh, why we signed Kenny Stills? I still wish Kenny Stills played over Gabe Davis in that playoff game. Gabe Davis, his ankle was hurt, and coach knew that his ankle was hurt, but he said they played him because he didn't want to rob those guys of their opportunity to play in their first playoff game that year. And I didn't like that answer at all. I said, if you have Kenny Stills at 100%, you play him over Gabe Davis at 75.
Like, give your team the best chance. Let him get healthy, and then he can maybe play in the championship game or the Super Bowl or something.
Exactly. So I again, that was one of those signings where I was like, we didn't need to sign him, but we did. And OBJ, you don't need to sign him, but goddamn, if you sign him,
crazy work.
Nah, I can't believe we're that team now. I can't believe we're that team.
I was just about to say that, man. We are the team that's just flirting with signing OBJ because we don't have it. It's like when the Chiefs signed Josh Gordon. It was like, you know, because we can, you know, so that's really cool that, you know, that possibility is even on the table.
Here's this. It's the Buccaneers signing Julio Jones when they have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Yeah. They didn't need Julio, but guess what? They got Julio Jones.
And as soon as they signed him, Chris Godwin got injured, Mike Evans, one of them two got injured. I forget which one. But now they need Julio, which is why I'm saying if you sign OBJ, or somebody made a tweet, I think it was Greg Vorse. He says, you know, the Rams didn't need OBJ, and then Robert Woods towards ACL. Now they need OBJ. You know,
Robert Woods tore his ACL the day after they signed OBJ.
Traded. Right.
Wow.
So you never know, and sometimes that signing where it's like, oh, this is conditional, we'll see what happens, turns out to be an absolute necessity because let's be honest, the Rams don't win that Super Bowl without OBJ absolutely torturing that defense in the first half.
Yeah, exactly. And OBJ was on his way to possibly being Super Bowl MVP.
Definitely. Yeah,
so
for sure.
That was when you have the ability to not only, and the only reason that I think that it's a multi-year deal too is I think OBJ is willing to every single interview that I've seen with Von Miller when he talks about OBJ possibly signing with the Bills, he's like, yeah, we're really good friends. He's such a great guy. I keep telling him that this is a place where you want to play, where you want fans to appreciate you. They shower you with love. He talked about the return of the red and blue game, just being like, look what these fans did for a practice game. Like, he was like, they will love you. And OBJ's not even signed to our team yet. And I'm sure there's somebody sitting with a Beckham Jr.
For sure.
Yeah, a Beckham Jr. custom jersey sitting in the NFL shop cart just waiting for it to happen because he'll be supported so much. And I think it's a multi-year deal because him and Vaughn will be like, well, why not? Why do it 1 year? Why don't we 2 years? Why don't we just run it back? Maybe go for three in a row. Like that could be crazy. And I think that just as Bills fans, it's so weird. We were always at the bottom of the mountain looking up at the Patriots. They get Randy Moss, and you're like, oh my God. They got they get those things and they're winning games, and you're sitting down there and you're like, man, now we're that team who's up there, and it's like other teams are like, would kill for OBJ, but OBJ wants to play for us. And it's like, bro, what world are we living in? Oh my God.
It's absolutely wild. This is like the Twilight Zone. We're living in the Matrix. But I'm
in the multiverse, dude. Like, I don't know what happened.
No, quite literally. Is there anything else that we missed that you wanted to touch on, Jake?
Just kind of, a lot of people are kind of arguing whether or not preseason before Brady, who wanted to be a Patriot, exactly Izzy. Nobody did. Just kind of, what are your thoughts on the preseason? Because a lot of people, there's players that don't find it as important. We know that the NFLPA has kind of been pushing to get rid of the preseason altogether for years now, and they've whittled the games down, and it keeps going down. Now it's 3 games. So it's like, do you really think that the preseason is important? Because some people don't seem to think so.
Important?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, yes, I do think it's important because I feel like there are players that, need that little time to be able to prove themselves, to prove that they belong on the 53-man roster. I'm sure, I can't name any off the top of my head, but I'm sure there are some guys who went crazy in that 3rd or 4th preseason game, and they made the roster, and they turned out to be a stud, in the position or whatever the case may be, So I really do think those extra looks are important for players, and not only that, but I'm selfish. I want to see a little bit extra football, even if it don't count, even if it's a little bit lesser than. I still want to see my team play, especially because all these, 2nd and 3rd string players who we don't really get the opportunity to see during the regular season or talk about, we get to see what they can do. We get a little bit of tape on them, we get a little bit of film, and be like, oh, well, this guy's promising, and everything that goes with that. So I will, and not only that, but it gives the players an opportunity to, see what a real life NFL game is to a degree, right? You got to know these plays, because if you don't, you're going to be out there looking stupid on TV, right? In front of thousands of fans, right? Because this ain't practice no more. They can't blow the whistle and restart the rep. This is real, full speed. So, and I think that it's important for the young guys to be able to get those reps and, get acclimated to the game a little bit before just being thrown to the wolves in week 1,
Okay, so I 100%. I'm gonna end what I say here with another question to you, because I feel like it'll kind of like pose a different kind of conversation as well when it comes to this. I think that preseason is really, really important to everybody other than established players. Established players that are in the NFL Players Association and in those meetings, they don't want preseason because they don't really need it. They don't really think from the perspective of a brand new player trying to come in and make it, because they kind of already made it to the position where they're actually making these decisions. And I think it's really important for these young guys to come in and show what they can do and what they can do against other players, not just in practices. And yeah, I think it's one of the most important parts of the off season, kind of, is like the preseason is kind of like where it all kind of culminates, of these guys that kind of slipped in at the end of the draft, or even guys that have been bouncing around, have an opportunity to come out and prove that they can still do it or can do it. So yeah, I think the preseason is super important. But is the preseason, Justice, as important when the XFL comes around? When these guys, they're sitting out there bouncing around, or even these guys that didn't get drafted in April, they play in the XFL, or even maybe later round guys, maybe they play in the XFL, which is going to be partnered with the NFL. It's The Rock and everything is going to. Could that almost become a replacement to where, some of these later round picks can get sent kind of like to these teams as to be like feeders to get practice?
I would say yes, only because it's a little bit of, it's a different animal, it's one thing to look across from you and to see another, fifth round pick on the Colorado wall painters or whatever.
Sure.
Right. And then it's a different thing to see Aiden Hutchinson, the number 2 overall pick, coming at you, with a Lions logo on his helmet. You know what I mean? Sure. And I think it's a little bit of a different animal. So I would say it would still be important, although that developmental route for the NFL would be also very important. I think that would be good for them. However, I would say that it's even important for the veterans, the players who know that their roster spot is safe, because this is a perfect opportunity for you to be a leader. It's a perfect opportunity for you to show the guys how to support, right? Because when you're on the field, you're going to need those guys on the sideline to hype you up, to support you, to dap you up, and to celebrate with you, bring the energy, because that's real important in a football game. Like, I don't know if any of y'all ever played football before, but the energy of the sideline is extremely important, and every team needs that. Remember, Matt Barkley was like running with the, in
the Steelers game,
and also in the playoff game versus the Ravens, he was doing that when Teron Johnson was running it back. Like, that energy is so important, right? And so preseason is the perfect opportunity for Von Miller, who's not even in shoulder pads, right? He's probably just going to have on a jersey. It's the perfect opportunity for him to, hype up let's say a Boogie Basham if he gets a sack, and show him the type of energy that he should, he should expect reciprocated to him in week 9 or week 6 when Von Miller sacks Patrick Mahomes. Boogie, I need you to be on the sideline giving me that same energy I gave you, after you sacked Matt Ryan.
Sure. And just to harp on how important the energy of a sideline is to football, and kind of a lot of sports, actually, not just football. I mean, the bench in basketball too is like that energy is huge too. And it's one of the big things that I saw this year, actually in person, and actually Izzy saw it too. Izzy was at that game. The Bills, when they played the Jaguars, there was no energy on that sideline whatsoever, and the game reflected that.
Yeah.
And then Shaquille Griffin came out after that game and said, I looked over at their sideline and I said, no, we can beat these guys. Because the team, I don't know what happened that day. It was not the Buffalo Bills team that we're used to seeing on the sidelines. The energy was not there, and it reflected in the way that they were playing. And it just completely flipped the game. It was completely different. So if you're still in there, let me know if you saw the same thing I did, because that was the most defeated, and it reflected on that field so much. And like, it's important for some of these guys to learn that, like you said, like just kind of that energy, what to do, how to interact with your teammates when something happens. And in the preseason, that's big. Like, some of these guys, they go out there, they make plays, like their confidence gets built up more. When you said they're not looking across from Joey Bag of Donuts, they're looking across from Aiden Hutchinson. And like, if they make a good play, like, it was just, yeah. I mean, is he?
I'm sure it was hot too.
Actually, it was cloudy that day. It was very nice. It was perfect weather. I was in the upper bowl, 50-yard line. I felt like I was watching the All-22 tape. It was just beautiful. I had my legs up because Jaguars fans don't show up to their games, and when they do, they wear clown mask. So like, but no, dude, it was awesome. But yeah, man, energy makes it. And I think that the argument for not having a preseason, it doesn't really hold up as much, because it's still super important.
Yeah, it's just because you don't want to see it, or because you feel like your favorite football players don't get anything out of it,
or you don't care about it, right? Like, you think it's a bad brand of football or something. Like, I know I didn't watch the Hall of Fame game. You know why I didn't watch the Hall of Fame game? Because I watch it every single year, and I turn it off by halftime, because it's just not. It's just not.
I watched it because I was like, yo, football's back. Yeah, football. Yeah. And I'm watching it, and I was just like, I just don't care. I don't care. And not only that, but coaches get an opportunity to make real game time decisions, to learn, play calling a little bit, to, know when to call a timeout, to know when to kick a field goal, to know when to go for it. It's real life. It's important for, a lot of different people.
It's important for those coaches too. Like you just said, like, who is the person that I said that I'm going to be looking at on the offense too? Not apart from I'm looking at Ken Dorsey. I want to see what he looks like. What is he? Is he in the box? Is he on the sideline? How's he calling plays? Like, it is just absolutely important in all aspects.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that we covered a lot here. So it's 11:10. And I gotta pee really, really bad. So
yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you too. I really need to use the bathroom.
All right, cool. So we're on the same page. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate the love and support as always. You guys are awesome. And we get a little bit more love. The brand is growing. We got some more subscribers for our YouTube page. You guys are supporting. You guys are loving the Madden cast. Like, those numbers are being ridiculous right now, as well as the hype videos that me and Jake put out. You guys also are supporting the hell out of those. So we want to thank you so much. I'm going to have one for tomorrow, guys. I might just do what Jake did and remaster one just because it's a little easier, but instead of just creating fresh new one. But I want to have one for the preseason game, so I'll hit you guys tomorrow with that. But you guys already know we appreciate every single like, comment, subscription, share, retweet, repost, all of it. We appreciate you guys and the love you give us. So please slap that like button. Also, listen to the Lowdown every single Friday with Jake Jordan when that comes back.
And come back for the regular season. I can't be breaking down all the preseason games.
That's facts. And also, Justice for All is moving to Thursday nights. So make sure you tune in for that. And the Buffalo Bills Madden cast brought to you by Buffalo FAMbase this weekend, of course. As always, the Bills just came off of a W versus the Lions on Thanksgiving. Do you know who we play off the top of your head?
Yeah, we play the Patriots on Thursday Night Football.
Ooh, Thursday Night Football, Patriots. So make sure you guys tune in for that. It's going to be amazing as always. division rivalry game. You know it's gonna be special. But,
hey, Lions fans showed some love on the Lions stream. The Lions, if you guys haven't been watching the Madcast, like it is, there have been some games that I hate that Justus had to dip at the end of the Lions thing. We just kind of started a little bit late, but like calling the end of that game, like there were some Lions fans that jumped in the chat and they were like, oh, because it was so close, the Lions could drive down the field and possibly come back. And it was a hell of a game. I remember 2 weeks ago, we were sitting there calling a game. We're like, oh, we got the Lions next week. And then we play the Lions and it's like, oh my God, the Lions.
It was a great game.
It was awesome. Game.
Absolutely. So make sure you guys tune in with us this weekend, Sunday at noon. Don't you miss it. Mac Jones throws 17 interceptions. We'll see what happens. But anyway,
who knows?
This is the official network of the Original Bills Mafia. I'm Justus. That's my man Jake. We are out. Go Bills.
Go Bills.